being an early adopter of gaming stuff is always coming with some kind of risk, you know. I decided to take the flyer on the Google Stadia, the gaming platform where you would connect a Chromecast to a controller in the internet and it would try to stream pretty much anything you could over the internet. It came with a few demo games, and you got to participate in the beta program where they gave you access to a few games. That was a case where if it weren't for the fact that I got my money back when they canceled the thing, it would have been a really bunch of deal. But it was also kind of a curiosity, you know, and I didn't expect anything in the way of a replacement for my normal gaming patterns. It was more just something that I had a curiosity for. We're now a month into the Switch 2, the Nintendo Switch 2, and there are some similarities. Don't get me wrong, first month 5 million sales worldwide is a fantastic number. I want to say that that's technically the highest, fastest selling console in a launch window of all time, which, you know, good for Nintendo. But there's some similar threads here. One is that there's not much to play. The only new game that came out with it, besides Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, was Mario Kart World. And beyond that, there was also Donkey Kong Bonanza that came out last week. But I don't know. It's just, for example, most of my time, besides reviewing a few games for Nintendo World Report, has been playing Switch 1 games. And the Switch 1 games are great, but they're not things that take advantage of the Switch 2 when it comes to some sort of improved controllers, or if we're talking about any of the special control schemes. Well, there was one strategy game I reviewed and played that used the mouse controls, and I'm really hoping that the mouse controls are developed in a way where you see multiple games getting good use out of it. But when you're talking about a $500 game console, I guess $450 if you don't get Mario Kart, it's not a small investment. I understand the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X were both $500 entry point, but Switch 1 was $300. It was $300. And when you consider not only these high prices of the consoles now comparably, but also Nintendo even taking action to raise their peripheral prices like their controllers or that ridiculous webcam to account for tariff increases. This is becoming more and more of a privileged hobby, for lack of a better word. You know, there's this term called the hedonic treadmill. And in layman terms, the idea is that the more you increase your quality of life, or the more you have new and newer stuff, the more accustomed you get to it, and it becomes less special. And then in order to get that feeling again, you have to keep on raising it and raising it. It's a similar methodology or idea when it comes to things like drug addiction and tolerances that way. Starting to feel the same way a little bit with the console stuff. It feels like this kind of treadmill that you are climbing and climbing and climbing with diminishing returns. The Switch 2 is a very neat piece of tech. Not in that it is revolutionary, but it's iterative in a way where if you like the first Switch, you're probably going to like the way it feels, the bigger size, the larger screen, the bigger Joy-Con. It's all iterative improvement stuffs that are going to make people happy if they've been itching for a newer and better Switch. Nintendo hasn't sold us yet though. They have not given a good excuse to buy into this stuff unless you're a weirdo like me who does things like review games. And thanks to that, I'm going to be able to have something to play on the system, because I enjoy reviewing games, and it's, you know, it's work, but it's good work, and I, you know, as much as it can be, it can be a slog sometimes. It's hard to complain because it's kind of a rarefied, privileged space. But I can't recommend the Switch 2 to anybody, because anybody that I know who'd want it would have already gotten it by now. It's still available in stores. You can walk into some stores, and there's plenty of places online to buy at retail. But if my sister were to contact me saying, would this be good for my kids? I'd say no. Not because it's not a good functional console, but because they have a Switch 1 and they have Mario Kart, and a new Mario Kart isn't enough. Not at launch, not when it's one game. Two, if you care about Donkey Kong. And it's tough to recommend to somebody when you're saying this is just the same thing except better. It'll run your games a little better. The Nintendo Switch 1 has an impressive library. Don't get me wrong. But if you want to play the Switch 1 library, you should just get a Switch. The value's not there yet. All that to say, it's okay to be late to the game. In fact, sometimes it's even better, because you get to then buy in when it's not a premium, and you can get good discounts. Yes, even Nintendo games. You can usually find them for about $40 a pop if you are patient for the right sales price. So, remember, it's okay to be late to the game.